Welcome to Turnpike Sports. I'm Dave Weischadle, and as always, I'm joined by my producer and co-host, Doug Weischadle. Well, the Super Bowl's set. It's not the teams that a lot of people thought it'd be. It's the Rams and the Bengals, and congratulations to both teams.
I'm actually kind of glad to see Stafford in the Super Bowl. After all those years of in Detroit, he comes into L.A. the first year and leads them to a Super Bowl.
I know, some pretty good storylines. I mean, there's Stafford, there's the Bengals themselves are great storylines. I know some books preseason had them a total wins of 6.5.
Yeah.
And wow, what a year.
Well, the previous year they only had 4 wins. I think also there's some weird stats being thrown out now.
That's all you're going to hear
Burrow
these next
being
2
the
weeks.
first overall number 1 pick quarterback to go to the Super Bowl. I found that one hard to believe until you think about it. They're right. I never even thought about that one.
Well, the
before.
closest one was Peyton Manning. He was the number 2 overall, and it was Ryan Leaf. That was the Ryan Leaf year.
Yeah.
So,
and
let me tell you something. These 2 weeks, all you're going to do is hear weird storylines because reporters and journalists are trying to take every story angle they have out of this Super Bowl. By the time the Super Bowl actually occurs, I'm so sick about hearing about the Rams and the Bengals. So, you just have to pace yourself when you're consuming this kind of news.
Yeah, up until now, the only team the Bengals ever played in the Super Bowl was the Niners.
Yeah.
Think about that one. That's a weird one, too. And also, it's the second year in a row that we have one of the teams playing in their home stadium, with the Rams playing in SoFi Stadium.
And one of the things I'm going to be looking at is if this line moves at all. I think right now a lot of the books, or most of the books, have the Rams favored by 3.5 points with a total of around 50. I mean, I don't want to generalize. I have to generalize because I don't want to. Some specific book may have another number, but I'm very curious to see how these lines move, if they move.
I don't know about the point spread. That total may go up.
I don't know.
It'll be interesting to watch.
We shall see. Well, we got a big show coming up for you. We got a Beat in the House segment. We got a book report, and I'm going to be talking with Adam Small from USBets.com and Better Collective, and we're going to be talking about the launch of New York mobile sports betting. It was recorded right after the first weekend, so we get the initial reactions of everyone. Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Exit 1.
All right, today's Exit 1, we're going to focus on 2 of the biggest states to launch, which was Arizona and New York. Arizona had 3 months' worth of really great sports betting reports, September, October, November. They have become the quickest, well, I shouldn't say this anymore because what we're going to be talking about in a minute is going to change that. They were the quickest to the $1 billion market handle. They took 3 months to do it.
It's an amazing market. Arizona is doing incredible things with sports betting.
Well, it's going to keep growing, too, because as more and more books come online, there's also when the sports teams launch their retail books. I know we got the Arizona Cardinals getting a BetMGM book in their stadium. We've got some of the basketball teams having FanDuel and DraftKings books. Even in the book report, we talked about one of the cities, I think it was Tucson, increasing the size of one of their arenas so that the indoor football league team there could actually go get a sports betting license. So we're seeing, some of the growth in Arizona very quickly. I don't think anyone's really surprised about it. I think it's actually really great to see.
Yeah.
They hit $1.2 billion officially for the first 3 months in operation, September, October, November. They're also the 6th state to hit the $50 million revenue mark. They joined New Jersey, Nevada, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Michigan in that area.
Like I said, Arizona has been so quick to these special marks in the sports betting industry. It's great to see an incredible future. But, I know the next sports market you're going to be talking about, especially when they just launched their mobile sports betting industry couple of weeks ago. But is that what you're going to talk about, New York?
Well, Arizona held the record for quickest to 1 billion for about a day.
Yeah, for about a day.
New York has reported their first 2 weeks of numbers. As a matter of fact, their first 8 days, or 9 days, they had
of mobile
sports
betting, yeah.
in mobile sports betting, $600 million in handle for the mobile sports betting alone.
Yeah.
That's not even counting the retail books. They've got 4 of those out in Northwest state over there. But they had $600 million after the first week. They've reported their first 2 weeks of mobile sports betting numbers for the state.
This New York number is staggering to me. Absolutely staggering.
I am going to be more impressed with the full month to see exactly what it is.
Go ahead. For 2 weeks, what did New York online sports betting bring in?
$1.17 billion handle.
That's incredible.
$91.4 million revenue, and $46.6 million in sports betting taxes.
Wow.
Now, those numbers by
those
themselves,
are the important things for the states.
Yes.
So the taxes, the tax revenue. Always look at the tax revenue.
Those numbers are bigger than a lot of the markets out there by themselves in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they're bigger than most states get in a couple of months.
Well, New Jersey has all the records for all-time single month in the post-PASPA era. Let me put it that way, because you still have Nevada before PASPA. But in the post-PASPA era, New Jersey holds all the records. New Jersey's records are $1.3 billion handle and
Per month.
That's the monthly handle record. New York's right there with 1.17.
They're going to break that.
Yeah.
New York's going to break that.
They're going to break that next week, probably.
Well, let's be honest. New York's going to break every one of New Jersey's records, I think.
Well, the one record that they may not break, possibly, could be the $115 million revenue. That's dependent upon the bettors themselves. If they actually have a good month in the last 2 weeks,
that's a great point.
Having, we may not see the $115 million. Like I said, we have what right now after 2 weeks we had $91.4 million. That could fall.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know
the
what?
third week here.
The operators, the sportsbook operators, the mobile sportsbook operators in New York must be very, very happy. But also, they must be thinking, we have a 51% tax rate. You know how much more money we'd be making if it wasn't a 51% tax rate? It's just amazing. But you know what? It's the cost of doing business in New York, and certainly I think they're making out.
Well, these numbers should be even higher, but BetMGM and PointsBet did not report their numbers for the first couple of days in operation in the state. So those numbers are not in there. I think you're probably looking at 1.2, maybe 1.4.
It's going to be staggering.
Yeah. But again, what's even more interesting, Caesars is accounting for almost half of that. Their handle at the 2-week mark, their handle was $487.4 million.
Look, we live in the New York metropolitan area, I guess, here in New Jersey, and we have been bombarded with Caesars Sportsbook ads coming from New York. Well, first off, Caesars Sportsbook is all over New Jersey. They have bus wraps, they have signs on the turnpikes, and they have radio, TV. It's nonstop Caesars. I think Caesars is the most commercials I've seen and the most advertising I've seen. So they're really making an effort, and it looks like it's paying off for them.
Well, here's one little number to put into context with this. The Caesars handle is approaching $500 million already. That's within 2 weeks. If you look at what happened in the first week overall in New York State, $600 million. Let's go with the $500 million for Caesars right now. For most states, a lot of states haven't even reached the $600 million mark for handle. You had New Jersey. It took New Jersey 25 months. Caesars is approaching that alone in New York in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they're doing great.
You've got Illinois, it took 10 months, and Pennsylvania needed 30 months to hit the $600 million mark. Like I said, one sportsbook alone in New York State, one mobile sportsbook alone in New York State is getting close to that $600 million mark all by themselves.
It's impressive.
And I think those numbers are going to be pretty impressive. I think January, February, March, you're going to see records shattered everywhere by New York State.
I can't wait to see the numbers for the Super Bowl coming out of New York.
Can you imagine March Madness?
It should be incredible.
March Madness is going to be crazy, too.
It's going to be great.
Exit 2.
We're going to be talking about a cheating ban in esports.
What does that mean?
Someone was banned from playing because they cheated during a tournament.
Oh, okay. Do we have to say allegedly cheated, or
no?
do they actually have
they
proof?
got it. Yeah, they got it. No, there is no need to say alleged here.
No,
it's already been tried and convicted. If you want to put in those parlance,
okay,
yeah, the legal stuff. But this is the first Valorant player ever suspended. That's another multiplayer shoot 'em up game kind of thing. It's almost like Fortnite.
Well, how does one cheat in this?
I will get into that because it was very interesting how they found out he cheated.
Okay.
This was during the Vietnam qualifiers.
Okay.
A player that goes by the name of Nomen Pai.
Okay.
Nam Sen Pai. That's his name. Nam Sen Pai. That's his screen name.
All right.
He was the very first Valorant tournament player to ever be suspended in this tournament series. No one's ever been suspended in this esports tournament.
When you say a tournament, when you do a tournament for esports, you actually physically have to. You're not sitting at home playing this thing. Do you actually have to physically go to a?
It depends on the tournament.
Place
everything
kind of thing?
everything is.
Okay.
I don't know how Valorant runs their tournaments.
Okay.
But he was suspended. Not only was he suspended, but his team got suspended. He knocked his team out of the first qualifier round. They can't they can't play again until the next series of qualifiers. This tournament?
Well, are they appealing this thing?
There's no appeal.
There's no appeal.
No.
All right. Okay.
This is what happened during the qualifying tournaments that this team was playing in. They noticed that this guy was able to see through walls.
You mean
in the game?
In the game.
In the game.
See through walls.
He was tracking players through walls. And he was able to kill the other team members as they were behind walls, and he was able to track them around everything. And he shouldn't have been able to do that according to the game manufacturers.
All right, how did he make that happen?
They never said how he did it, but he was able to see through the walls. And that they looked at the footage from the tournament, and they saw that he was able to track an opposing player as he went behind a wall during the game, and he was able to knock that player out when he emerged from the other side of it.
How did he explain this, or how did the team explain that?
That was never disclosed if he even fought this. That's the thing. They reviewed the footage and automatically suspended him for a year.
So they felt that he could see through walls. Not only the player, but the whole team was suspended, and they're not fighting it at all?
The player was suspended for a year.
Okay.
The team was suspended just for these qualifiers.
Okay.
The team can't play until the next round of qualifiers, but the actual player is done for the year. He can't play at all.
So I'm wondering what happens after that. Does the officials take a look at that? Do they look at the software? Very, very interesting situation here. I've never heard of that before.
The one thing I'm curious about, and it was never disclosed, was who brought this to the attention of the tournament officials.
Is there a flaw in the software? If it's a flaw in the software, wouldn't it be,
Wouldn't be exploited by other people?
Yeah. Hey, if I can see through walls because something's wrong with the software, I should be able to see through walls because it's not my fault.
Well, we'll see exactly what happens moving forward.
I've never heard of that before.
But according to the officials in the tournament, it wasn't supposed to be able to happen, so he did something that allowed him to see through the walls. They suspended him for the year. And they have actually acknowledged that there is a rampant cheating problem going on in some of these tournaments, and they're trying to figure out how to handle that. So moving forward, we may see some other changes to esports tournaments that will affect how people play them.
Exit 3.
And it seems we can't go a show without talking NFTs or cryptocurrency, so we're going to talk both.
Okay.
In this one exit, we have an NFT casino launching in El Salvador, and this is the country acknowledging this. They confirmed this, that they are launching the first virtual casino where guests will be able to play as well as buy and sell NFTs in the casino.
Okay.
This will be run...
So how do they play at the casino?
Well, I'll be getting into that because there's also a brick-and-mortar component to this as well.
Oh, okay.
This will be run by Astro Babies.
Astro Babies.
That's the name of the company.
Great name.
And the name of the casino will be, obviously, Astro Casino.
All right.
They're going to have a land-based casino counterpart that's going to have slot machines, table games, a poker room, as well as a gaming area, restaurant, DJ. It'll be just a full-blown casino.
Now, this is in El Salvador, right?
This is in El Salvador.
Okay.
The virtual version will be connected to it in some way, shape, or form. They haven't really gone through exactly where you can actually play this. Do you have to be on the casino grounds? They haven't explained that one yet, whether or not you have to be inside the casino to do this. But the online version of this casino will feature a marketplace that will allow the selling, buying, and auctioning of NFTs, and it'll be on the Solana blockchain platform.
Okay.
First of its kind, never been done before. Kind of a unique thing in the world today in terms of metaverse, land-based, all that stuff, NFTs. The other interesting event going on is a crypto poker tournament. Now, before we get into this, it's not using cryptocurrency.
Okay.
It's sponsored by a cryptocurrency.
Okay.
It's the first one of its kind. It's a charity event. It's going to be on Poker Go.
Okay.
And it's going to be the Storm X first ever invite-only poker tournament. They're going to have professional poker people, NBA stars, cryptocurrency pioneers. I don't even know what a cryptocurrency pioneer is. Right. I'm assuming it's cryptocurrency inventors.
I guess so. Yeah.
And it'll be held on March 3rd and be streamed on YouTube, StormX's official website, and also all the various social media outlets.
Okay.
Tournament buy-in is $5,000 with a one-time rebuy of $5,000 to get back in if you want to do that.
And all this is, I guess I would call it standard currency, right? I mean, it's $5,000.
It'll be U.S. dollars.
Okay.
It's held in. It's being sponsored by a crypto company.
Okay.
There was talk about cryptocurrency being used at one time, but I think they've settled on just using regular U.S. dollars.
That's the next thing in casinos, whether cryptocurrency can be used. I mean, it's probably a couple years off, but I guess the states and the regulators have to look into that now.
I don't know how much cryptocurrency is legal in Nevada just yet. I mean, there are certain ones that are legal. There are certain ones that aren't.
That's what I mean. I think regulators have to start taking a look at that. But it should be interesting where this goes with the brick-and-mortar casinos in the U.S.
Well, this will be held at the Aria Resort and Casino, which does, I believe, accept some cryptocurrency.
Really? I didn't know
in certain areas. I'm not on the casino, but in the actual resort itself.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens.
Exit 4.
And I think for the last exit, the NFL really can't go back now after allowing sports betting because of what just happened in 2021 with their sponsorship numbers. They just set a record in terms of sponsorship dollars for 2021, and a lot of it came from the gambling firms.
I certainly believe that with the deals they're making, and again, the television commercials during football games is just incredible.
The NFL took in $1.8 billion in sponsorship deals in 2021 alone.
Wow.
Gambling, let's see.
Wait, does that count toward, there's a lot of pregame shows, the local pregame things. I mean, the Jets have one, the Eagles have one in the East Coast. I know the Eagles is sponsored by
it really depends
PointsBet. I know the Jets one is sponsored by WinBet.
Yep.
Does that figure into these things?
Everything figures into it. And also, you also have the the naming rights for the Superdome, Caesars.
Oh, the stadiums?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You got also the Fubo Lounge in the Meadowlands.
Sure.
That's coming with the Jets. I mean, as soon as that launches, that's going to be there. But
oh, my God. You go to a football stadium.
Buffalo Bills.
You look around and you see all the signs for sports books.
Well, the gambling firms added to a lot of the sponsorship money. The league realized a 12% increase between the previous season and this season in terms of gambling dollars. The biggest increase in NFL sponsorship deals was due to, and listen to this list, lotteries, sports gambling, casinos, but the major contributor was tech deals still. Verizon. Verizon is still the largest sponsor of the league, $300 million. Microsoft has the $100 million a year deal with them because they supply all the tablets.
Okay, yeah.
And you got to think, some of this isn't all cash. Some of it's product, too.
Sure.
Anheuser-Busch does more than $250 million. But those numbers, you add in the sports gambling deals, not only just the sports betting, but casinos, and also the lottery deals that they're doing. I know some of the teams have not only the sports betting deals, but the casino deals where they have the branded games.
Oh, sure, yeah. I saw the Jets have one. The Steelers have a branded game.
Jets have one with BetMGM.
Yeah,
the Eagles, Steelers.
I'm not sure. I can't remember, especially with the live dealer. Something was like 21, or I can't remember if that was the Jets or the Eagles.
The Eagles and Steelers have deals with Unibet.
Okay.
And the Jets have one with BetMGM.
Okay.
So we're going to start seeing those more often, too. But, again, they can't go back now. They're seeing the money coming in. They're going to go full bore now.
And today's trip down the Turnpike was brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using our promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
And as always, you can get in touch with Turnpike Sports by calling or texting us at 609-512-5910. That's 609-512-5910. At Turnpike Sports is the show's handle on Facebook and Twitter. At Turnpike Sports Radio is our handle on Instagram. And as always, our email address is info@turnpikesportsradio.com. And don't forget, you can listen to the show via Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, radio.com mobile app, as well as Stitcher and YouTube. You can also watch us on your smart TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. Head on over to turnpikesports.net. You'll be able to watch our video channel there.
Well, we got a big show coming up for you. We got a Beat in the House segment. We got a book report. But right after this, I am talking with Adam Small from usbest.com and Better Collective, and we're going to be talking about New York mobile sports betting. I talked to Adam right after the launch of the mobile sports betting market in New York, and very interesting conversation with Adam, as always. So stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
Yeah, you, come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore. Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here. Use offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. Well, it finally happened. New York has launched mobile sports betting. The initial numbers look great, making it one of the biggest news stories of this brand new year. So what's it all mean for the sports betting industry in this country? Well, whenever we have questions about the gambling industry, we talk to our favorite returning guests from Better Collective and usbets.com. We have Adam Small on the line. Adam, thanks for joining us, and Happy New Year.
I love the introduction. Thanks, Dave. Happy New Year to you. It's always great to be back. I've lost count of how many times I've come on the show. I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think you are I guess you must be the most appeared guest on this show. I think we should send you a fruit basket or something like that. But
I deserve something.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm glad you're on, because it seems like we were talking about this for years, and I guess it's the biggest news story of this very young year, and that's the launch of mobile sports betting in New York. We'll talk about the particulars in a little bit, but what does this launch mean for the sports betting industry in the United States as a whole?
Yeah, it's a good way to come into the topic, because I think, like, psychologically, the addition of New York is just so huge, and it kind of reminds me of 5 a little over 5 years ago when, DFS was having its whole year or so of going through trying to get legislative victories in a number of states after, that the industry fell into a bit of scandal in late 2015. There was a big rush to get states to clarify the legality of it. Some states kind of started pushing that it was illegal, and New York's Attorney General had pushed back a bunch, particularly on DFS, and then after an intense lobbying effort, New York became a legal DFS state. And it was just like, on top of it being a huge economic opportunity for that industry, just psychologically, I think New York is still the economic center of the United States in so many ways. And so it's a huge win. It's going to get press unlike any other market that's launched in the U.S. has launched when it comes to sports betting. It definitely happened sooner than I thought it was going to happen. Yeah. I mean, if you'd have asked me at the beginning of 2021, I would have just continued with what I've been saying for years, which is, the big four states, California, Texas, Florida, New York, all of them are a mess, each in its own special way. And none of them are going to happen real soon. But then, if you asked in 10 years, will they be, have legal mobile sports betting? I'd say, yeah, probably most or all of them will in 10 years. So it has to happen some year, right? It can't always be 10 years away. And I guess 2021 was a year. It was a crazy, intense process getting it done with, Andrew Cuomo at the time, the governor, really holding firm on kind of a more clamped down, like lower number of licenses, very high tax rate system. But I think we ended up with something okay there where, even though there are only a handful of licenses that were granted, there are enough brands within those licenses that we're getting a decently competitive market off the bat. And it's really exciting. I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be a great thing for the people of New York who, like to bet and have been either forced to travel to nearby states to do it or bet offshore, that now they have legal options where you have recourse if something unfair happens and you're going to get your money back when you hit the withdraw button. So I'm really, really happy about it. And obviously for us as a business opportunity, marketing to that state is the biggest one that we've had to date here in the U.S.
Even though we were expecting a launch, the start date seemed like it was out of the blue. I mean, where I live, I started seeing commercials about the New York sports books, and said they were coming soon, and Caesars is coming soon to New York. I mean, they blanketed the television market with that. I mean, and then a sports book we were working with put our name in as an affiliate in the New York Gaming Commission so we can run ads with them. So we knew something was coming shortly, but we just didn't know the date. Were you surprised when the actual date was announced? Because it really seemed like, we're going to start like in 48 hours, and it just seemed out of the blue for us.
Yeah. It was not a lot of advance notice. Yeah. I mean, we did know for a while that it was coming, fairly soon, that, it might be short notice. I think that was kind of in the cards for a while, that, it was just, they were trying like crazy to get it launched, and that it might be like this, that we find out, this is launching in a couple of days. And that is what ultimately happened. Last week was that I think they came out on like Wednesday or Thursday and said everything's launching Saturday morning. And we're just like, okay, I guess we're doing this now. I will say though that, since PASPA fell down in mid 2018, and there's kind of been this intermittent series of states launching online sports betting markets. And some of them have been very, like, a lot of advance notice. You kind of have a start date that's the same for all the operators, and you have a lot of information about what's going to happen. But for the most part, I felt like it's been pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
Like, most of them have not been like New Jersey, where they're, the New Jersey iGaming market is the one that comes to mind for me back in 2013, where like everyone knew for a couple of months, like November 26th or whatever the day was, they're all going live that day, or almost all of them. I just, like, for the most part, most of these states, like, I mean, there's a big list now, Indiana, Colorado, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, Illinois, where it's more like this trickle of news rather than like these big balls of fury where you gotta prepare for a whole bunch of things at once. And every state is different in its own way, right? Like some of them are establishing new regulatory bodies, like Tennessee, which didn't have casinos at all, or Virginia. And some of them are more chaotic than others. I mean, Illinois, with their whole mess with, is in-person registration required? Is it not? And they kept going back and forth. I think like what happened with New York, just coming back to it, is more typical than the New Jersey model, where you have a lot of information in advance. Yeah. Mostly it's just like, okay, this is going live now. And, Louisiana is another one where we're just like, it could be any day now it goes live. We're just kind of waiting for it to happen. So it seems more normal that this is the way it goes these days.
Well, I was surprised on how it launched. I mean, I'm used to a sportsbook saying, you know what, we're going to do a soft launch for 3 days, and then we're going to go live, and we're going to accept bets from everyone. New York, 4 books launched Saturday at 9 a.m. and just started doing business.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you think it happened the way it did? I mean, are they just these operators are getting so good at running these online books that, you know what, we really don't need a soft launch anymore. We can just start taking bets.
I think everything just has to do with the way regulators set up the launches and what they require the operators to go through. I believe, at least in some states, the way that it has worked with soft launches is that you have to get like a certain number of customers registered before you're allowed to do a full launch or something like that. And so the soft launch was just kind of like to go through the first however many customers, make sure there aren't any big problems, and then they can proceed to full launch and like all the marketing efforts that go with that. New York, for whatever reason, just I guess decided they didn't need that and just plowed ahead. Another thing that was interesting there is in some of these other states, like Michigan is one that comes to mind, about a year ago when that market launched, that we were able to market pre-launch offers for a period of close to 2 months in Michigan, I think, where, we knew the market was coming. We didn't know exactly what day, but we knew it was coming at some point fairly soon. And we were able to kind of start getting people registered. They were even able to deposit. They just weren't able to make real money bets, but they had promotions for people who deposited ahead of time that, they'd be able to activate those promotions once they went live. And so we were able to market that for a while. Whereas with New York, we got some pre-launch offers, but they were like Thursday when launch was happening Saturday. So it wasn't a lot of time to, get people into the system. And it just comes down to that, that whole, like the way the U.S. market is today, which is like the U.S. is basically 50 countries. Mm-hmm. When it comes to sports betting. Every state has its own set of rules, its own timeline, its own regulators. Nothing is really coordinated. So even though you got the same companies like FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Rush Street, Caesars, et cetera, that they're running in most of these states or all of these states, but they're running under different rules. It might be very similar or even identical products and promotions, but behind the scenes, there's different things happening in each state. I can't even imagine what the compliance teams must look like at these companies now, because they've got so many different regulators to deal with.
Now, have you heard of any issues with the launch of New York? Like I said, they just launched without a soft opening or anything like that. I mean, did it go smoothly from all accounts?
So it has not gone smoothly from all accounts, but it's gone, I think, smoothly in terms of there haven't been any major issues. I think the biggest one that has really come up that has gotten any press, and we've covered this on Sports Handle and some of our other sites as well, is that Caesars had some outages over the weekend where just like the sportsbook was inaccessible for some period of time. And I'm sure that was frustrating for customers. I'm sure, if you want to be making a bet right before a game. I understand that it was offline, for example, prior to kickoff for at least one of the games. If you want to make a bet right then, or if, you're trying to track in-game and want to make in-game bets and you're not able to access the book, that probably hurt business for them. Maybe some people even went to competitors during that time for that reason. And that's, I'm sure, like, Caesars is probably more frustrated than anyone that happened. But I don't consider that a major issue. It's kind of like a business issue for them that their book was down for a period, not so much like a launch issue or a regulatory issue, or like, for your listeners who remember when New Jersey iGaming launched back in late 2013 and online poker, and it was like you couldn't even get the sites to figure out what state you were in. I still remember this, like the site that we used to own and were running at the time, Pocket Fives. In the New Jersey community section, there were people in there that are like, here's how you can play online poker. You have to set up 2 internet routers in your house and triangulate between your cell phone and these 2 routers. And then you contact support and say this. And I remember just thinking, I'm like, nobody's going to do this. Like,
it was
you
a
guys
mess.
Here in the
it was an
community
absolute mess.
Players, but is your uncle that wants to play a sit and go going to go through all this and like go to Walmart and buy another router or whatever? That's just never going to happen. So thank goodness for GeoComply coming in and figuring out all these problems. And just kind of back to New York, because I could go on and on about all the commoditization of products like that have really improved this market. But bottom line for New York is things are going pretty well, and I think Caesars had a little problem, but I'm sure it won't be the first or last time they have tech issues. But it doesn't mean that the market has had issues with its launch.
Now, for the launch in New York, only 4 books launched on the first day. What was the reason for that? Did the other 5 books not have their platform set yet? Any other reason why the other books didn't launch at the same day?
Yeah, it was, it was all fairly opaque from our point of view in terms of why some books got authorized and others did not. I'm sure, particularly just thinking about BetMGM, as big as they are in as many states as they're in, and as as much effort as they're putting into being a top competitor everywhere, I'm sure it was disappointing for them to not be able to launch at the same time as their top competitors. But the reason why is quite unclear to me. We've been following it. We've been trying to get information about when those launches are going to happen for the other sites. And we are reporting on it on like nyonlinegambling.com and Sports Handle, just keeping that news out there. But I think it's kind of a situation in flux. I think that these approvals will be coming, and I'm expecting by the end of January, probably pretty much all of them will be online. So that includes PointsBet, right? It includes obviously BetMGM, but also, some of the smaller ones like Ballybet that will be going live in New York at some point. I think they'll all be, up fairly soon. And these issues of kind of like who gets to launch when will be a thing of the past. I have like Resorts World. I'm just kind of going through the list of ones that are launched. Resorts World Bet or something like that is a new one. Ballybet is kind of just getting going in a few states. BetMGM is obviously a big one. They should be live soon. PointsBet and WinBet. I guess those are all the ones, and I expect them all to be live within a couple weeks. Do not have clarity on why they're not yet.
Well, one of the issues for the sports books they've been talking about for some months now is the 51% tax rate in the New York market. I mean, going forward, will that continue to be an issue for sports books in New York, and do you think that will change in the near future?
Yeah, it's an issue. It's an issue everywhere, right? I mean, anywhere where you make the cost of doing business so high, it's going to make it harder for these companies to be profitable. But I think sometimes some of the rhetoric's a bit overblown. Pennsylvania is, the one that most obviously comes to mind for me, where Pennsylvania passed their law back in 2017. And it took the market a while to get live, but there were all these predictions of doom and gloom and, nobody's going to want to run iGaming in Pennsylvania, and nobody's going to want to run sports betting in Pennsylvania with these crazy high tax rates. And yet, people are like clamoring to get in. And, I think New York's the same thing. Like, people were desperately fighting to get licensed in the state. Clearly, they think that being in that state is worthwhile from a business perspective. And I think that now, because of the sort of economies of scale, where like especially the bigger ones like FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Caesars, they're operating around all the markets in the country. It's not like they have to build a whole operational team just for New York. Their marketing costs are going to be fairly high, and it probably means that the path to profitability is going to be a bit longer than it is in other states. But it's such a huge market that eventually getting 49% of whatever their revenue there is going to be good enough for them to still be making a lot of money. That's what I believe.
A great article written by Mark Saxon on nyonlinegambling.com, which is another great Better Collective website that you can go to. It says the high tax rate in New York may actually be beneficial to the New Jersey market. There's some stats that say that 20% of the New Jersey handle comes from New York residents coming over to play. In the article, it said because of the high tax rate in New York, it may affect promos in New York and drive New Yorkers to New Jersey to do their betting. I know it's early, but is there any evidence of yet that there were a lot of promos in the opening of the books in New York? I mean, is there any evidence that people are still going to New Jersey to bet right now?
I mean, it's really early to tell, but I just really doubt it. I mean, unless there's some book in New Jersey that people cannot access in New York, which there are a bunch. If someone really loves betting on Golden Nugget or even one of like the bigger ones that's only in New Jersey, like Bet365, but not New York, maybe they have a reason to go over there from time to time and make bets. There are a lot of people that cross the border for other reasons regularly. Whether it's because they live in New Jersey but work in New York, or they live in New York but work in New Jersey, or whatever, their habits might be stickier with betting when they're on the New Jersey side as opposed to when they're on the New York side for certain reasons. But the idea that people are going to continue to like be tourists solely for the purpose of doing online sports betting on the New Jersey side of the border, I am really, really skeptical that will live much longer.
I got to tell you, one of the most interesting things that happened during the first couple of hours into the New York launch is that I received a promotional email from FanDuel. Now, I live in New Jersey, and that's where my account is. And they said if I refer a friend from New York for a FanDuel account, both me and that person from New York would receive $50. I mean, I've never received a promotional offer like that crossed state borders. I live an hour away from Manhattan, but I live 10 minutes away from the Pennsylvania border, and I don't remember Pennsylvania sending me an offer like that. When if I refer someone to Pennsylvania, we both get $50. Is that something we may see in the future? Promotions crossing state lines, or is New York that unique of a market?
That's really interesting, Dave. I hadn't heard about this until right now, and
I saw the email.
It's interesting.
I'll send you the email.
Yeah, no, please do. I'd love to check it out. It's interesting to me because it's not a particularly new idea in terms of the we'll give you and them $50 for a referral. That's pretty normal, and it's not a whole lot of money in the scheme of things compared to, for example, what they're paying to affiliates who send players, or others who are able to convert new customers for them. It's not a huge cost per acquisition for them if they had to pay $50 to the player and $50 to the refer. But the idea that it's specifically focused on targeting people in New Jersey to bring them customers in New York, I mean, I guess it just seems to me more like just a shot, like throwing a dart at the board, in terms of, maybe this would be a way to engage our New Jersey customers to, help us do some acquisition early on in a fairly cheap way for us. I'm not like entirely convinced that'll be effective for them, but it could be. And if it sends them a few thousand new customers, that's huge, right? So, I mean, it is interesting though, just because I think you're right. I doubt they were doing that for Pennsylvania. But New York is New York. I mean, there is a mad rush to be a leader in that state. I think it's not just about how much money they can make in New York, which is, I'm sure, substantial, but I think a lot of it is about media narrative, and certainly narrative toward the investor community. that there's a lot of fight over those investor dollars right now. Who's going to be investing in, BetMGM's parent companies, or Rush Street Interactive, or FanDuel, DraftKings. I mean, these are all public companies now, and I think I frequently hear from people outside the industry that know that I'm involved. It's probably the most common thing I hear from people outside the industry. It's like, which of these companies should I be investing in? And I always answer with the standard, I'm not an expert. I don't, I'm not a stock advisor or whatever. I don't really want to tell you that. Just go buy the mutual fund or whatever. Regardless of what I say, it's very clear that there's a heavy interest in a lot of people in trying to pick winners in this space. And New York is going to be a huge part of that media narrative. Like, whoever's winning in New York, if DraftKings can come out and say we're number one in New York, the biggest market in the U.S., that's ultimately going to lead to positive stock price developments for them. It seems inevitable. So I think that's what a lot of this is about.
I looked at GeoComply for the first day of New York betting, and I was absolutely floored with the report they came out with. GeoComply, they traced transactions from the different states on January 8th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. New Jersey had 2.1 million transactions, Pennsylvania had 2.3 million transactions, and New York had 5.8 million transactions. They also did a report on the 5 boroughs of New York over the first weekend, and it had over 8 million transactions in the first weekend alone. And that's even more than some states. How should we look at these numbers? Is this a sign of things to come, or is this basically a shiny new toy and the numbers are going to come back down to earth in a couple of weeks or months?
Oh, no, I think it's going to get bigger. I mean, I think, any market when it first launches is, going to take some time to get to maturity and get the, amount of customer base that should be kind of its plateau level, or, where it has steadier growth, but not explosive growth. So, we're nowhere near that in New York yet. We've only been live for less than a week. And, I think these numbers are going to grow more, but I did see, we published an article somewhere in our network. I can't even remember where, that was about how, it appeared that as of day one, New York was already a bigger market than New Jersey,
yeah,
in terms of handle, which that did shock me. I will say that shocked me, Dave, because, New Jersey is pretty big. I mean, New Jersey is, the biggest sports betting market in the U.S. in terms of handle, I believe. It's eclipsed Nevada, which a lot of people weren't sure it would ever do. And it's doing, it's got a very well-developed market with, I think, around 20 different sports books live there. And so it's very, it's a non-simple thing for a new state on its very first day, with only a couple of days of marketing ahead of launch to surpass it in handle. I think it's a credit to these operators really being ahead of things, and also, of course, in the case of FanDuel and DraftKings, they've got huge databases of DFS players that they were able to market to right away and try to get them in the door on day one. And so, it's a combination of factors. But I would say, if you'd have asked me a week ago, will New York do more handle on Saturday than New Jersey, I would have said no way. So that's pretty good.
Now, mobile sports betting just started in New York, but there's already legislation to expand it to stadiums and racetracks. Do you think that allowing mobile sports betting opens the floodgates for the gaming industry in New York? I mean, can we expect online casinos now for New York, or online poker, or is this just the beginning for New York?
I'm not holding my breath for any of that. I do think eventually online poker will be a much more normal thing to have legal in states around the U.S., whereas right now it's only in a few states. There's been some good news lately in terms of more of the states that have online poker starting to combine into player pools. I think I understood that at least the WSOP poker site is merging its Michigan and Pennsylvania pools into the one that is already combined between Delaware, New Jersey, and Nevada. And so that's really good news for poker. Eventually, states like New York are going to have to take a look at it, especially if it's a product that people are demanding. But it's just not something that people are focused on right now. And so I'm not really expecting proliferation right away. Online casino is tough. It's a tougher sell politically, I think. It's just tricky to get the public behind it. On the other hand, there's an absolute ton of revenue in it, as New Jersey and Pennsylvania have shown. And so, states that do need to add more cash, which they always seem to need, will have to take a look at it. But I don't think it's opening the floodgates. I think more broadly, it's making the industry more powerful. The sports betting thing. Obviously, we've seen a lot of companies go public or get acquired. FanDuel got acquired by Paddy Power Betfair, now Flutter. DraftKings went public, and Rush Street went public, and so on and so forth. And I think as the industry becomes more powerful, it is able to lobby more effectively for legislative change it wants. And I mean, if you ask me again, like we talked about California earlier in the interview, 10 years from now, I bet online poker will be in lots of states, and online casino probably will be in more states than it is now. But I'm not expecting it imminently in a market like New York.
I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, we've been talking about New York for so long, and it looks like it was certainly worth the wait. But you, as a person in the gambling media, what do you think is the next state we should be looking at? What is the next big market for the sports betting industry?
Well, it's going to be an interesting year, 2022, because there's ballot initiatives coming up in a number of big states. And we know already that Ohio is coming because that law is already passed. That's a big state. That's a top 10 market in the U.S. But I don't think anybody thinks of Ohio as like a marquee U.S. state, right? Like they're not looking at that the way they look at New York or California or even Florida, Texas. So I think Ohio is exciting, and Ohio will be a good market, kind of similar to Michigan or Illinois once it gets fully going. But in terms of those top 4 markets or just other top 10 markets, I think the election season, I guess particularly November of 2022, when the main U.S. elections happen for Congress and all that, the ballot initiatives are going to be a really interesting thing to keep an eye on in this industry. In my state where I live, Georgia, we've got something coming up, potential to vote on this. I think it's happening this year. And California's got a number of ballot initiatives that are trying to make their way to the ballot. Florida is also another state that there's some things to watch in that area. I think Texas is really the only one of those big 4 states or those big states that's left that there's really no likelihood of any progress in the near future. Despite it being a state of like 20 million people or whatever, Texas's legislature only meets every other year. So I don't believe the Texas legislature does any legislating in 2022, which makes it hard for anything to happen there. So Texas put at the bottom of the list. California and Florida and Georgia and North Carolina are all kind of like top to top-ish states to keep an eye on this year.
So as we start this new year, what are some of the issues and stories that we should be looking forward to in the sports betting industry? I mean, like, will esports continue to grow? Will peer-to-peer betting take hold in the industry? What are some of the things that we should look forward to in the new year?
Yeah, good ones that you brought up right there. I think seeing how we move on things like exchanges and peer-to-peer betting is going to be really interesting because this market is going to evolve. I think the peer-to-peer model, or sort of like the trading model of sports betting, is something that's going to take off in the U.S. I'm not sure exactly what form, but there are at least a couple of businesses out there focused on this already, Sport Trade and Profit, among others. And I think that it's going to be something to watch over the next year or two. How does this all go? Do we end up with systems where we can trade bets like stocks? I personally think we should. I think it's actually one of the flaws of sports betting as it exists today. That once you make a bet, you're basically waiting for the outcome. or sometimes you have that direct cash out option on the sports book, but it's usually at a pretty crappy price. Kind of reminds me of like playing Deal or No Deal, watching that show, and
Yeah.
they'd offer the deal, but it was always just like, so far below expected value. And the purpose was to try to get people to keep gambling, obviously, but, it's not the best option. I think it would be much better if there were a very clear system for, just valuing and revaluing quote unquote investments you've made into players and teams and outcomes on a given day, to the point where, like, let's say I bet, the Patriots to win on this weekend's game. And, if they, I'm buying stock kind of in the Patriots win, and, my stock goes up to whatever its maximum value is if I just hold it to the end and they win, but I also can sell it prior to then and get something less than that, if there's some other investor willing to buy it at a certain price. I think, predict it's kind of like this, I guess, the U.S. Exchange, for, political outcomes and stuff like that, but it's very limited. So I think that's coming for sports betting. I think peer-to-peer betting, the exchange model, all that stuff is going to be interesting to watch. I'm not sure it's like super imminent. Like, I'm not sure there's going to be major developments on those things in 2022. But another thing that I would like to keep an eye on this year that I think is very interesting is just the continued growth of the U.S. entrepreneurial ecosystem in this industry. I think it's very interesting. I mentioned Profit a minute ago. That's actually a company started by a couple of fellow Vanderbilt graduates, so I've been following it with interest. But there are all kinds of companies being launched in the space, particularly here in the United States, that are filling various needs in the United States as this market continues to grow and emerge. And that's an area that's of heavy interest to me, just like what kind of businesses are being started and growing and getting acquired. And I think this is going to be a big year for that.
Adam, we're running out of time, but can you give out some of the Better Collective websites that people can go to and read about some of the big issues in the gambling industry?
Of course. So my team reports on sportshandle.com, usbets.com, and a number of state sites, including njonlinegambling.com and nyonlinegambling.com, as well as a number of sites that end with bets, like TN Bets in Tennessee and Penn Bets in Pennsylvania, MI Bets in Michigan. So any of those sites, you can find our reporting. You can follow us on Twitter at sports_handle or US_bets, and keep an eye on our content. So definitely appreciate the opportunity to plug.
Adam Small from Better Collective and usbets.com, thanks so much for coming on and talking about the recent launch of mobile sports betting in New York and the other big stories in the gambling industry. It's always great to get your perspective on what's going on in the gambling industry, and we look forward to having you back on real soon. Thanks as always.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We'll get back to the show in a few moments, but I just wanted to take some time and tell everyone about Bean Genius, the smart specialty coffee subscription service. Bean Genius sells freshly roasted coffee from some of the best independent coffee roasters in the country. They feature over 2,000 specialty coffee blends, all at your fingertips at beangenius.com. Here's how it works. Head on over to beangenius.com and take their palate profiler test to find out what coffee best fits your taste. Then select from a variety of subscription plans. Every subscription comes with free shipping, and delivery can even be scheduled for once or twice each month. And based upon your review of each coffee blend you try, Bean Genius actually learns your individual taste preferences and then suggests future coffee blends for you. And now you can get 10% off your Bean Genius subscription when you use our promo code PIKE at checkout. Bean Genius offers a variety of subscription plans to suit any coffee lover's needs. Subscribe with Bean Genius today and start enjoying some of the best tasting coffee around. And save 10% off your coffee plan with promo code PIKE.
casino. People gotta win sometime.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a giant, colorful check to deposit.
Beating the House is brought to you by BetMGM Casino. Play your favorite casino games at BetMGM Online Casino. Slots, table games, live dealer games, everything you love about Atlantic City and Vegas, all online at BetMGM. Don't wait. Join in the fun now. Go to BetMGM Casino, create an account using our promo code Turnpike, and become a verified player. New players get $25 free when signing up, plus a first deposit bonus up to $1,000. That's promo code Turnpike at BetMGM.com for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus $25 free. Grab a lion's share of the fun at BetMGM.com. Must be 21 years or older to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome to another edition of the Beating the House segment on Turnpike Sports, where we discuss the slot jackpots, the online winnings. We talk about the bad beat jackpots. We talk about any kind of casino winnings or lottery wins that we get press releases for. And please keep those press releases coming in. We're getting a great response. Info at turnpikesportsradio.com, and we'll continue doing this segment, reporting on all the big winners around the country. We're going to start off this week in New Jersey, Atlantic City to be exact.
Is this the Golden Nugget one? Because this made the news.
This made the news everywhere. This was actually the very first $1 million jackpot in New Jersey for 2022. We're going to go to the Golden Nugget, Atlantic City, where Dave J. won over $2.8 million at the Golden Nugget. He placed a $6 bet on a penny Monopoly money grab slot machine and won the progressive jackpot.
Wow, $6, huh? A $6 bet won $2.8 million? Wow.
And again, it's another variation on the Monopoly slot machines that are out there.
Monopoly games pretty much pay out all the time. For me, anyway, I've noticed. I mean, people may have other experiences with it, but Monopoly games are pretty fun. I don't know what the Monopoly money grab one is.
Well, according to Scientific Games, who is the game manufacturer, the game features the thrilling money grab feature.
Thrilling, okay. What's thrilling about it?
According to the website, randomly, a full stack of wilds lands on the reels. Mr. Monopoly will make it rain.
That's
the little animated guy comes out.
That's the old guy in the tails and top
I won't call him
right?
an old, the senior citizen.
Okay. Wow.
He will be he'll appear and start throwing money down on the screen.
Okay, is that what happened to Dave J?
It's not clear whether or not he hit the Mr. Monopoly one or the hit and win mechanic with a twist feature.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple different features here. They combined, from what I was reading, about 3 different slot features from different games and put them into the Monopoly game. I mean, they do about I think there's like 30 different versions of Monopoly.
Yeah, is this a pretty new version of the Monopoly?
It came out
game?
towards the end of last year.
Okay, this is pretty new then.
Yeah, and
right. Like I said, Monopoly is one of those games that I've always had good luck with. Monopoly, what is it? Divine Fortune, and Wheel of Fortune is a pretty good slot machine too for getting some money back. So I've had good luck with these things.
I have to admit, the Wheel of Fortune machines seem to pay out more on the brick and mortar side than the actual online side.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Buffalo games pay out both sides. And Divine Fortune is online. That's crazy. That always pays out.
Is Divine Fortune in the brick and mortar casinos too?
No, I've never seen Divine Fortune in a brick and mortar. That's an online only slot, from what I understand.
Oh, okay.
There are games like it in the brick and mortar, so you have to take a look around. But I've never seen a Divine Fortune in a brick and mortar casino. I'm
going to take a look around for that.
Last year, 5 jackpots exceeding $1 million were won in an Atlantic City casino or a New Jersey online gambling site. So New Jersey had 5 millionaires made playing slots last year.
This is for the entire year?
That's for all of 2021. This one, the $2.8 million, was the first one in 2022, which means if 5 is any indication of how many we're going to get, we may see 4 more pretty soon.
Good. I hope we get more
throughout the year.
There's more.
Be interesting to see exactly what pays out next, whether it's going to be an online game or a brick and mortar. I'm always curious to see the next $1 million slot jackpot for that. Going across the country to Las Vegas, we're going over to the Fremont Hotel and Casino. We've had the Fremont Hotel on a couple times because they've had some big winners over the past couple of months we've been doing this segment. We are now going to be talking about the Wheel of Fortune slot machine that you just brought up.
I just mentioned that. All right, look at that.
we have a guest who chose to remain anonymous. Did a $5 bet.
Okay.
And hit a jackpot of $1.1 million after playing only 10 minutes.
See, I love stories like that, you know? 10 minutes and you get $1 million. I like the stories where, you're down to your last dollar, you're walking out, and you figure you might as well throw the dollar into the last slot machine in the casino, and you win big. So, great stories like that.
You want to hear something a little freaky about this?
Okay.
The guest was from Hawaii.
All right.
The previous jackpot winner at this Boyd Gaming Hall was from Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
Both won over $1 million jackpots. One was a $2 wager, though. This new one was a $5 spin. But if you're from Hawaii, go to Fremont.
Yeah, apparently.
Obviously, they pay out big for you guys.
You got that special glow about you if you're from Hawaii and you go into Fremont. You're going to win some money.
And both of them were playing Wheel of Fortune.
It's a good machine.
The next one we're going down to the Bayou, L'Auberge Casino Resort, Lake Charles. $1 million prize was won on Saturday, January 22nd, during a Pai Gow progressive game.
Oh, okay.
Another Pai Gow jackpot.
I know. I'm trying to learn Pai Gow. It's pretty intricate. I mean, you have these side bets going. I guess that's where you win a lot of the money on the side bets, but I'm trying to get the hang of it.
Well, the progressive had a little trick to it in terms of how to get it.
Okay.
You have to place a wager on the progressive bet before the cards are dealt. This has to be a pre-deal bet.
Okay.
Is what they're saying.
All right.
So
see, I got to learn stuff like that. I don't know pre-deal bet. I don't know that. I mean, but I'm finally getting a hang of the side bets and the things like that. So,
well, this was technically a side bet if you think about it, because it's for
I didn't even know that. So, I'm still learning.
Not every Pai Gow poker table game is a progressive, but when you do see a progressive, you do have to make a bet to get into the progressive.
I got to find a good book on Pai Gow poker. I don't know the strategy for Pai Gow poker.
Well, I'm sure there's tons of them out there.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff online.
But that is actually the first $1 million jackpot in Louisiana as well for the year.
Mm-hmm.
We're going back over to the East Coast now. We have Live Casino Philadelphia.
What a great casino that is. If you're a Philadelphia sports fan, it is in the greatest location in the world. It shares a parking lot with all the stadiums in the city. It's great. We were leaving the parking garage, and you can see right into the Philly stadium. It's absolutely amazing.
No, it's very unique in terms of where it's located.
It's great for football, for
actually even for all the sports.
What a tailgate, huh?
You have all the stadiums there. You have what is it, Wells Fargo, where the Sixers and the Flyers
Citizens
play.
Bank Park, where the Phillies play.
Actually, from what I understand, a couple of the rooms in the hotel of the Live Casino Philly, you can actually look out your window and see the ballpark.
Yeah, no, Lincoln Financial
park.
Field too, for where the Eagles play. So it's right there.
Well, we're going to go into the casino. We're not going into the ballparks.
Okay.
Where Robert Williams, a local from Philadelphia, won the Jackpot Party Blackjack Progressive for just under $400,000.
So wait. Jackpot Party Blackjack Progressive.
Yep.
Okay.
He won a Royal Flush.
All right.
And it got him $399,319.
Wow.
Now, this is another one of these side bet deals.
So what is this? A table game that, what? Where is this at? I mean, this is not like...
you're playing blackjack.
You're playing blackjack.
And to get into the Jackpot Party Blackjack Progressive, it's an optional bet.
Okay.
That involves the player's first two cards and the dealer's first two cards. And this is off the casino's website. I had to get the instructions because I was actually very curious to see exactly what made this a progressive bet.
All right.
To win, you need the dealer to have an ace for their up card or for the dealer to have a blackjack.
All right.
Now, when you make the standard blackjack bet and then the $5 progressive bet, if the dealer up card is an ace and they do not have a blackjack, then every player that made the progressive bet will be paid $15. That's the pay table.
Okay.
In the event the dealer has a blackjack, A player that made the progressive wager will use their 2 cards, along with the dealer's 2 cards, to make a 4-card poker hand.
Oh, okay.
The bet considers the best hand possible among the 4-card poker hand. So basically, you have to do the side bet, whatever amount you're going to bet, to trigger the progressive, the jackpot party blackjack progressive. You take your first 2 cards dealt. You take the dealer's first 2 cards dealt if he doesn't have a blackjack.
This
is almost like...
That's a lot of thought involved.
It's almost like, what was that game in Star Trek, Fizbin, where they were just trying all that weird stuff? But, yeah, no,
wow.
it's just...
Okay.
It's probably a very fun side bet once you get the hang of it.
So you can go on their website and take a look at this thing.
The instructions are laid out nice and clear.
Okay, all right.
Personally, I would have trouble the first couple of times I tried this because I'd lose track of what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, I'm going to check out Live Casino Philly's website and check this out.
Well,
sounds interesting.
All their games have all the instructions there, so if you want to try this progressive bet, and you know what? A lot of casinos have side bets like this everywhere. Yeah. Before you go, if you want to get into some of these progressive side bets, these progressive jackpot party things or whatever they're going to call them, go on the website. Sometimes they have the instructions there. Learn the game before you do that bet.
It seems like it's worth it. What, the guy won $399,000?
They didn't say what his bet was, though.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm sure it wasn't $399,000. So I'm sure
he did not break even.
He didn't break even, so he won big. So,
well, we're going to go down south to Florida now. Seminole Classic Casino in Hollywood, Florida. We're not going to talk one jackpot. We're going to talk 4 in one day.
4 in one day.
We have, on Sunday, January 16th, 4 jackpots totaling $332,000 were given out.
So this is, you take the 4 jackpots and
add
them all up, and they
These
came out
all
to
happened on the same day.
Okay.
The largest one was $203,000 awarded to a winner playing Aristocrats Magic Pearl slot machine.
Okay.
There's another new one.
Yeah, I never heard of that.
The other jackpots, Aristocrats Lightning Cash Machine gave out $63,000 to another player. Then you have Konami's Ba Fang Jin Bao Abundant Fortune Machine. Boy, that's a mouthful.
Wow. Okay.
$38,697 was paid out. And then, this one's disappointing after that all those words there. AGS's Royal Reels. What a simple name compared to that last one.
Okay.
$25,000.
Hey,
paid
I'd
out.
be happy with that one.
$332,000 total given out by the Seminole Classic Casino in Hollywood, Florida. Thank you again for the press release. Great to know that something like that happened on one day. It's kind of unique to see 4 jackpots of those sizes being given out in one day.
It's pretty impressive. 4 in one day, huh?
Well, now we're going to go two different states, same casino.
Okay.
Twin Spires Online Casino.
Boy, I'm hearing a lot about Twin Spires.
Well, they're starting to get more and more popular because they're spreading out. They're expanding into different states.
Well, and obviously they're giving out jackpots, too. People are winning jackpots on Twin Spires, so that's pretty cool.
We have a Michigan jackpot and a Pennsylvania jackpot.
All right.
Julie L. from Michigan was playing Divine Fortune.
Ah, I like that game.
She won $96,244 playing the NetEnt slot machine.
Good slot machine.
Did not say what the size of the bet was.
Okay.
Did not say how long she was playing. But that's a good amount of money anyway, for however long she was playing. Now we're over in Pennsylvania again. We have Justin F. won $93,000 on an 80-cent pull at the Twin Spires playing, you guessed it, Divine Fortune.
Wow, look at Divine Fortune. I told you, that's a good slot machine.
It's constantly paying out on these things.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot of fun to play, too.
Prior to this last jackpot in Pennsylvania for Justin, the $93,000, it produced this same game, produced a $75,000 jackpot on May 17th of last year, $71,000 on August 2nd, and a $145,000 jackpot on August 9th. Yep. So there's an instance of 5 jackpots given out by Divine Fortune on Twin Spires casinos.
Wow.
Different states, same games.
Yep.
Going back into the Bayou, we have another Louisiana jackpot to talk about. Sam's Town Casino in Shreveport, Louisiana. A guest from Texas kicked off 2022 by hitting a jackpot of $63,000 playing Scientific Games Aftershock slot machine.
Never heard of that one.
That's an interesting one because I took a look at it in terms of there's a whole bunch of different bonus features that are attached to it, and what happens when you hit Aftershock, the reels start going by themselves. You know, it's like an aftershock of an earthquake where there's another little rumble after that.
All right,
that's what it does.
I'll take a look for it.
He was playing Aftershock Saturday afternoon and won the $63,000 after making a $5 bet.
Wow.
So congratulations to Jake. That's what he went by. Last name not released as usual. So he is Sam's Town Casino's first jackpot winner of that size in 2020, the largest one of 2022. We got 2 lottery stories to hit for Michigan Lottery. Actually, I'm sorry, Michigan Lottery and North Carolina Lottery.
Oh, okay.
Got two different, but they're both Mega Millions. Mm-hmm. We have a spam folder providing her with a win. Saved her ticket. She, Michigan woman.
So what happened? She got notified and it landed in her spam folder?
She got notified by the Michigan Lottery and the email landed in her spam folder.
I got to tell you, I rarely look at my spam folder. I guess I should. Not that I'm going to win the lottery, but something important can be in the spam folder.
Laura Spears bought a Mega Millions lottery ticket online, correctly picking the 5 white balls drawn on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
So it's been sitting in her spam folder for a while.
Goodness.
She won the game's $1 million second place prize that a separate drawing multiplied to $3 million.
Okay.
So she won $1 million, and then that $1 million was entered into a secondary drawing that got her a couple more million.
And this was in her spam folder.
It went into her spam folder.
God.
People, if you're going to play online lottery,
check your spam folder.
Make sure you have the online lottery's email address in your saved address book. Because that way it will avoid the spam folder. Not all the time, but something like this would be avoided.
Check the spam folder anyway.
Well, I can't believe she doesn't clean it often. I mean, I wonder how long it's been.
Glad she didn't clean it.
Well, I'm just saying if she saw the Michigan Lottery notice in the spam folder, how long did she wait before she cleaned her spam folder?
Well, I got to tell you, like I said, I rarely check my spam folder, so I don't blame her for missing it. So,
well, we're going down to North Carolina now for the last story of the day. Again, a Mega Millions jackpot winner.
Okay.
A Cornelius, North Carolina. By the way, I didn't know there was a town called Cornelius in North Carolina. A Cornelius, North Carolina man's fortune cookie really did bring him good luck. He played the numbers that come on the other side of the fortune inside the Chinese fortune cookie.
Okay.
And he put a $3 ticket into Mega Millions using those numbers and won $4 million.
Wow.
A retired Army sergeant.
I rarely look at those numbers.
Let me tell you, it's a disabled veteran. Who won this?
Good for him.
And it's nice to see something like that happen. He gets the fortune cookie from the Red Bull in Charlotte, which is a Chinese restaurant where him and his wife eat all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So he got the fortune cookie numbers after they ate. They say he usually buys them at the Red Bull anyway. Mm-hmm. This is the first time he actually decided to use the numbers on the back of the fortune cookie.
It's a pretty good move.
I actually, I noticed. After seeing this story, I looked at the fortune cookie numbers, from the last Chinese restaurant I went to. They do have the right amount of number. I wonder if that's designed that way for lottery.
Yeah, I'll try it. I'll give it a shot. I would never have thought that would have worked, but good for him.
Well, he took a chance, and he bought the ticket online this time.
Okay.
He added $1 for the mega plier. He matched all 5 white balls to win the $1 million. Then the prize quadrupled for the 4-time Megaplier ball hit.
Wow.
$4 million prize is the largest win in the history of online play in the North Carolina Education Lottery. That was historic. I guess not just for the amount, but also for the fact that the fortune cookie saved him, too.
That's great.
So congratulations to all our winners this week. Again, keep those press releases coming in. Love seeing all the different winners announced, whether it's a lottery or a casino or a bad beat or whatever it is. Even bingo and keno we've talked about.
Sure.
info@turnpikesportsradio.com is the email address to keep those press releases coming in.
The book report is next, so stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports. Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Psst. Yeah, you. Come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore. Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here. Use the offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
Turnpike Sports Book Report.
The Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casino is now your favorite sportsbook. Available anywhere in New Jersey, BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E. Make your first wager of $20 or more and you'll get $100 in free bets. That's $100 in free bets when your first wager on Borgata Sports is $20 or more. Get into the action with BorgataSports.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Turnpike Sports Book Report, where we're going to be talking about the local, state, and national reports for sports betting revenue and handle. We've got legislation to talk about. We've got a lot of legislation to talk about, a bunch of deals to talk about, and a bunch of launches. But first of all, welcome to Mobile Sports Betting Louisiana.
Yeah, no, that was the big story this week. Boy, Louisiana, nice.
They launched on Friday at around, I guess, 9 o'clock Eastern time, 8 a.m. Central. It's a launch day when your inbox is flooded with press release after press release from all the different books and companies talking about they're now live wherever they're live at. Mm-hmm. And I got inundated this morning. We're taping this on the Friday of the launch. I got inundated with press release after press release of Caesars. We've got BetMGM, we've got FanDuel, DraftKings. All of them are now live in Louisiana. There's a whole bunch of them. It was kind of an interesting lead up to the launch of mobile betting in Louisiana because they had a very specific issue with the geofencing.
Well, I know most states have counties, they have parishes. So when I say parishes, I'm kind of talking about counties. But certain parishes in Louisiana, you can't place a bet. So
they didn't vote for sports betting in their parish.
The geolocation's very specific down in Louisiana.
It was kind of. I don't think any other state had this happen, where within the state they had to geofence locations off. I know in certain states where the tribal casinos are.
I'm curious to see how that's going to work.
But from what I understand, that was one of the issues leading up to a sort of a slower pace launch for the mobile sports betting. They really had to test out the geofencing. Again, like I just said, a lot of the tribal casinos in certain states are having sports betting, and they have to be geofenced off.
Sure.
So I'm assuming the technology has to be tuned a little differently.
Look, the technology is so good nowadays. When New Jersey first started online casinos, and I guess it was 2013, I gotta be honest with you, the geolocation was a mess. I could play casinos in one room of my house, but I couldn't play in the other room of my house, and that was one of the big things about it. And you had to be certain a couple of miles away from the border of the different states, so it was just a mess. And I'm glad the technology is really improving.
One of the other reasons they launched it this weekend is because of the conference championship game involving the Bengals.
Sure.
They have 2 LSU players.
Yep.
Burrow and Lamar Chase, or Jamar Chase. I'm assuming, I don't know if that's a indication that they don't think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl.
I don't. Well, look, this was the playoffs for football, and certainly the Super Bowl was a goal for any sports betting market. So, what I don't know what the
the goal
thing
was
was,
Super Bowl, but
certainly the Super Bowl. But certainly it doesn't hurt that 2 LSU players played the conference championship.
Like I said, I hope this is an indication that they don't think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. But again, Louisiana is going to be fun to watch these first couple of weeks here. I don't know if it's going to be New York level numbers coming out of them, but it may be Arizona numbers.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Because Louisiana has Texans coming over the border to do mobile sports betting because Texas has nothing.
Yep.
Other than private card rooms.
It should be interesting.
But they launched. They have 6, supposedly 6 sports books launched: Betfred, BetMGM, BetRivers, Caesars, DraftKings, and FanDuel. I didn't get any notice from Betfred or BetRivers, but I'm assuming they're launching today too. Again, I'm saying this as we're taping it. And the one thing I noticed also, Caesars is in great position in Louisiana. They've got the naming rights to the Superdome, and that's going to have some March Madness games in it.
Sure.
Which,
great.
by the way, you're allowed to bet on in-state colleges in Louisiana.
See, that's great. I mean, New Jersey doesn't have that. For people who don't know, New Jersey, you can't bet on the colleges or universities that are located in your state, and you can't bet on any collegiate activity that occurs within the state borders of New Jersey. So, good for states who look beyond that kind of crazy rule.
And Caesars, speaking of LSU, we just talked about the Bengals. Caesars also has to deal with LSU Athletics.
Sure.
They've got a sports betting deal there. They've got the brand new revamped Harrah's New Orleans there.
I think Caesars is going to do very well in Louisiana.
Caesars might actually get the early lead in Louisiana.
Well, we'll see.
I know they got the early lead in New York.
You always have to wait a couple of weeks and really see the numbers, Well, certainly, day 1, day 2, day 3, that really it kind of shows you how many people are betting. But to get a handle on how the actual sports books are doing, I always like a week, 2 weeks, or something like that to really see the numbers.
Well, again, Louisiana is going to be another market to watch. It's going to be just as big as in terms of number of sports books as possibly Arizona is, because they got a similar law in the books like that state, except for those parishes that don't allow it. Mm-hmm. Again, that's going to be going to be more interesting to me to watch the way the technology works with this. If the geofencing actually succeeds 100%, I don't know if it's going to be 100%, but watch Sport Radar's numbers for the transactions, GeoComply as well. It'll be fun to watch to see exactly how the first weekend pans out for New Orleans, but it's Louisiana as a state. Mm-hmm. A couple other launches to hit. I know we usually start with numbers, but might as well talk launches because we're already talking about Louisiana. We've got PointsBet launching in New York. Okay. They are now the 6th sportsbook in New York City, or New York State. We also have a brand new sportsbook launching in Iowa. We have the very first DRF sportsbook launching.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Daily Racing Form.
Okay, all right, great.
They are the first sportsbook for Affinity Interactive. They have the deal with the Daily Racing Form to launch DRF bets. They are the 18th online sportsbook in Iowa.
Wow, they have a lot.
That's a growing market there too.
Sure.
Iowa is number 3 in terms of the number of active operators.
Okay.
They are number 3, Colorado, then Jersey, then Iowa.
Okay.
You wouldn't think Iowa would be there.
I
would think
I was
Arizona
surprised when you said how many online sports books they have. So good for Iowa.
Hard Rock announced a deal to launch Hard Rock Sportsbook in Arizona.
Okay.
No launch date has been announced, but they have made that deal. One interesting, I guess you can call this a product launch. I don't know how else to call this for PointsBet. We just talked about them launching in New York State. They have launched, and let me get this right, live in-game, same-game parlay options for NFL and NBA contests.
It's interesting.
Now, most places, most books offer pregame, same-game parlays.
Yeah, I've never have done a same-game parlay live in-game.
Well, that's
so now I can
the
do it
very
in
first one, only with PointsBet.
I'm going to try that. It's an interesting
thing.
They've
got that technology that they got from Odds Factory, where it allows them to seamlessly update the odds and the data and the content from the different sporting events. I think we talked about it last week where they had just tested it out, this technology, during an NFL playoff game, and what people noticed was there was no suspensions of numbers. You know, like when every so often you try and make an in-game bet and you hit that SUSP on the screen.
Uh-huh.
This technology that they have allows them to avoid having to do that.
Well, I'm certainly going to try it. I have a PointsBet account, and I'm definitely going to give this a shot.
Well, in-game betting is popular.
Oh, it's very popular.
And as a matter of fact, it's becoming very popular in Canada, of all places, too.
Okay.
The Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation. This was an interesting number. 42% of all wagering is in-game betting on their ProLine Plus sports betting platform. 50% of all bets placed on NBA games were in-game. 38% of both NHL and MLB games were in-game bets. 33% of its football betting, American football, NFL and the college, were in-game betting. So in-game is becoming very popular in Canada, more so than pre-game betting.
Those numbers are going to skyrocket because I don't think Canada has had a baseball season yet because baseball is such a great sport for in-game betting. And, if Canadians like in-game betting, try it with baseball. It's a lot of fun.
Over with the British Columbia Lottery, their sports betting operation, they have the PlayNow.com platform. They reported a 176% increase in in-game betting since they launched. So your statement about baseball may actually be even bigger on the Play Now platform.
Yeah.
So kind of fun to watch some of these launches, some of these different new products coming out. I'm very curious to see how DRF Bets performs.
Yeah, no,
it's such a well-known brand.
Certainly, yeah. No, I like the fact that they're getting into that.
I wonder if people are going to get confused with the DRF. If I didn't tell you it was Daily Racing Form, would you think DRF?
No, I wasn't thinking Daily Racing Form at all. I just don't think of them in terms of sports betting, but now I have to.
Well, they have launched, and they do plan to expand to other states. So.
Good. I hope they come to Jersey.
Now, let's go back to how we usually start the show here, talking about some of the numbers that are the state and national reports that come out for sports betting. Arizona reported their numbers for November. Fastest state to $1 billion in handle in the entire country.
That's incredible. 3 months, right?
That's going to be shattered by New York.
Well, New York already has sports betting. They just started mobile sports betting.
But mobile sports betting alone is going to be $1 billion after the first month.
But Arizona is 3 months old.
Yes.
3 months old. I mean, it's not like New York.
That'll be a very interesting market to see if they can sustain that as well. I know because I saw the October numbers and the November numbers. The November handle was slightly lower than October. So I wonder how...
Well, October is always a big month because, you have all the sports playing. You have the World Series. So, November is always going to be a little lower than October.
Well, with Arizona being the final state to report their November numbers, God, we used to think Illinois was late.
Boy, they still have to do their December one, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Illinois now looks early compared to Arizona with these reports. For November sports betting revenue, in terms of sports betting handle, November brought in $7.4 billion in handle. We have a national monthly record in terms of revenue for November. We have a revenue record of $634.9 million in total sports betting revenue across the country. The previous record was set in October. That was $514.8 million. So we have over $100 million more in revenue coming in November than we did in October. I don't know if that's a function of bad betting, or is it a function of more books coming online?
It could be both.
Or more states.
Yeah, no, it's hard to get these numbers down because, you wonder how much of the expanding sports betting market is just driving these numbers up, and you're wondering how much of how well people are betting, people getting money from the state and the hold and things like that. So it's that's why there are companies looking at these numbers constantly.
Well, I know Nevada had almost an all-time low hold in terms of their monthly numbers. I think it was something like a 1.58% or 1.8. It was under 2% hold. So the books did not do well in terms of the billion-dollar handle only brought in a really low amount of revenue.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm curious to see how much the books are making and the people are taking from the books, and how that affects the revenue things and like that. So it's very interesting.
Continuing with one other little national note, 21 of 24 states set new monthly revenue records in November.
In November, okay. Wow.
Tennessee became the 8th state to surpass $3 billion in handle. They joined New Jersey, Nevada, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Colorado, Indiana, and Michigan to hit $3 billion in handle. I'm very curious to see when Arizona hits that number, too.
Well, yeah, no, pretty soon, I would think. Oh, I think Arizona is just an incredible market.
And as we've been saying throughout this segment here, Arizona took 3 months to hit the $1 billion mark. They actually did $1.2 billion in 3 months. That was their total handle. They are also the 6th state to reach $50 million in gross gaming revenue for a month. They joined New Jersey, Nevada, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Michigan as the only 6 states to hit $50 million in gross gaming revenue. Now, gross gaming revenue is the overall revenue before all the promo dollars are taken out.
Yep.
So whatever the taxable revenue is, they set the record in terms of gross gaming revenue, because I know some states don't allow for the promos to be taken out before they tax them.
Yeah, yeah.
As a matter of fact, we're going to see possibly a change in Virginia doing that. They have a bill on the books that says that after the first 12 months of operation, you can't deduct the promos before you're getting taxed on the number that comes in.
We'll see.
So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah,
exactly. We actually have a whole bunch of legislation. Since I just brought up the legislation, I might as well talk about some of the things that are going on in the various states. We actually have a Hawaii sports betting bill to talk about.
See, I don't think that's going anywhere. I really don't think. I mean, Hawaii doesn't have lottery, do they?
No,
they don't have lottery. They don't have casinos. And I always said Hawaii would be the great place for casino resorts, but they don't have anything. I'm not sure how they're going to get sports betting. They're making a major leap in their gaming expansion when they don't even have a lottery.
Well, they have 5 bills on the books for gaming. One of them does create a state lottery.
Okay.
I don't know where that one's going to go, but all the other ones seem to depend upon the lottery commission running sports betting. So I'm assuming that lottery.
I guess they have to have a lottery first. Yeah,
exactly. But the interesting thing with Hawaii, we thought New Hampshire and New York were nuts with that 51% tax rate that they have.
Yeah, yeah.
Hawaii's bill is going to go 55%.
Wow.
I don't know if they're going to have a single operator set up like New Hampshire or Oregon, or are they going to go?
Would it even be worth the operators doing business in Hawaii if the taxes are going to be that crazy?
If you think about it, they were saying that about New York and New Hampshire too.
Yeah, but look,
New Hampshire is pretty much equal to Hawaii, I think.
New York is its own kind of animal. New York, it's an incredible population there. It's the media center of the world, and it's one of those things. New York is something interesting, and 51% is probably the cost of doing business in New York. But seriously, I mean, we talked about this with Arkansas. They proposed a 51% tax rate,
which is now being delayed.
Yeah,
that was taken off the.
That's just crazy. I don't know who's going to want to operate in Hawaii with a 54% tax
55%.
55% tax rate.
It's that extra 1%.
Yeah,
that's
there. 54 they can get along with, but 55, that's crazy.
I don't know. It really depends on the structure. I think if you look at the way New Hampshire has it set up versus New Jersey, I mean, if they do the New York model where they have 2 operators with sub-licenses underneath all those operators, that actually might work in Hawaii. I don't know.
Think so.
I know there's a lot of people going from Hawaii to gamble in the United States. That's a huge... that they have a huge population doing that.
Well, didn't you just do something in Beating the House that 2 people from Hawaii won jackpots?
In Vegas, yeah.
No, I guess Vegas is the place to go if you live in Hawaii. If you live in one of the vacation capitals of the world as Hawaii, where do you go on vacation? I guess you go to Vegas.
Yep. But again, it'll actually be kind of interesting to see what passes in Hawaii. They've had these bills on the books.
Nothing's going to pass in
since
Hawaii.
2020, 2021.
Nothing's going anywhere in Hawaii.
We'll see what happens with that one. Maryland's going to be kind of interesting to watch because even though Maryland has all these different sports books being launched in terms of the mobile as well as the retail books, there's a new bill being considered by the Maryland legislature, the Maryland Senate to be exact. They will restrict the awarding of sports betting licenses if the location that's applying for a sports betting license is near a sports venue that's already been awarded a sports betting license.
Okay.
So if you're within a certain radius of a venue, a sports venue that has a sports betting license, don't bother applying. You're not going to get it if this passes.
Oh, okay.
So they're already pulling back some of these licenses. If you think about it, they had what 80 licenses on the books for this state, and now they're actually maybe this is smart. This is kind of a regulatory maneuver where they're actually going to have better control over it.
Well, it also restricts competition, and competition between either casinos or sports betting operators, it's always good for the consumer. So I don't know why they're doing something like this. I don't get the reason. More competition is better for the consumer. So, well, I don't know what their reasoning is.
Well, over in Ohio, which hasn't launched yet, they passed it. They haven't launched yet. They have issued a revised set of rules for sports betting, which means they're getting closer to the launch.
See, I thought they were going to be launching within like a couple of weeks after the start of the new year.
They have.
I really thought they would.
All the legislators have said they're going to take their time with this and do it the right way.
They have so many examples in different states across this country. They know how it's going to work. They know the operators involved. They know how the operators do their business. So I'm not sure why they're taking so long to do this.
Well, here may be the big reason. They want to have a universal start date. They don't want to do individual rollouts for different books. They have a date set in mind of January 1st, 2023 as the latest sports betting will start. Could start earlier.
Okay. All right.
But they want to have a universal launch where everyone launches at the same time. And by that they mean the sports teams, their digital partners, the casinos' digital partners, and the brick-and-mortar locations will launch first. They're still going to have a staggered rollout, but the main licensees are going to launch first, and then they're going to have the kiosk-based venues launch after them.
All right.
But they want a universal start date. They don't want to do the piecemeal as they go along kind of thing.
Hey, start right before baseball season. Although who knows with the lockout how that's going to go, but start before baseball season.
Well, before we move on to some deals, the city of Tucson did something interesting in terms of sports betting. The sports betting bill in Arizona allows sports teams and venues, if they have an attendance or a capacity of audience capacity of 10,000 people, to apply for a sports betting license. In Tucson, the only team that could qualify as a pro sports team was the indoor football team, the Sugar Skulls.
Okay. Sugar Skulls?
The Tucson Sugar Skulls. That's a Day of the Dead kind of thing. That's what you give out.
Oh,
Day of the
okay.
Dead.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is actually pretty cool. I looked
Very
at the
interesting
team logo
name
and everything else. It's actually a pretty cool looking team. They have an arena called the TCC Arena, which is run by the city of Tucson. They did not have 10,000 seats. So they were the only professional sports team in Tucson. They did not qualify for a sports betting license as they were when the bill was passed.
Did they add more seats?
The city of Tucson added a convention center.
Okay, all right.
So they now have gobs of seats.
All right, good.
They
good
are
for them.
over the 10,000
all right.
mark,
Just add more
10,000
seats.
seat mark. They added more seats, and they will be applying for a sports betting license. It's actually really nice to see a city
Good
bend
for
over
them,
backwards to do that, because
that's great.
I think the city sees the money coming in already.
Sure.
And
Sure.
It's kind of amazing the money that's coming in for Arizona. A couple of deals to talk about real quick. We have Caesars Sportsbook announcing a partnership agreement with the New York Racing Association, NYRA.
Okay, good.
Caesars is an official sports betting marketing partner and title sponsor of the NYRA Turf Triple Series. Caesars Sportsbooks will be allowing some premium seating availability to their VIP players at the Saratoga Racecourse. There's going to be special promos for Belmont Park, Saratoga Racecourse. Kind of an interesting deal in terms of NYRA Bets being involved with Caesars, and also NYRA Bets has the sports betting app with BetMGM as well.
Oh, great.
So they've got 2 sportsbook deals already on the books there. Actually, one last little piece of New York legislation to talk about. I don't know if you've been following the Seneca Nation and their lawsuit against New York about paying the gaming fees that they owe the state.
Sure.
A court ruled against them, and the court said that the Seneca Nation owed New York State $435 million. Seneca has finally agreed to pay that, but one of the conditions for them to pay the entire $435 million without even appealing it is they got to renegotiate the gaming compact in terms of allowing sports betting and some other expansions going on. So sports betting's working out to a lot of people's favor throughout New York State. We've got MaximBet announcing an agreement with sports betting provider Kambi, where MaximBet will be using Kambi's technology and sports betting services, as well as compliance management software.
That's going to be a fun sports book to be on. I can't wait till they come to New Jersey. I guess they have future plans for New Jersey, so I can't wait for MaximBet.
They've got a bunch of states in the pipeline.
Yeah,
not just New Jersey.
Yeah.
So it'll be
it's like one of those up and coming sports books.
The BetMakers Technology, the horse racing group, announced a amended deal with Derby Development and the New Jersey Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association. It's an amended odds and data distribution deal that's going to go 15 years for fixed odds throughout the state. Before it was just for the fixed odds for 10 years, but one of the additional parts of the deal is a content distribution avenue where BetMakers will be the exclusive content distributor for a lot of the races in New Jersey that deal with fixed odds.
Good. Well, that's a big thing, fixed odds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate to go back to New York again.
Okay.
We have Wynn Resorts looking at selling off their online betting and gaming business.
Oh, WynnBet, right?
WynnBet.
All right.
What makes this interesting is if they sell their digital gaming business, there's already a possibility that Las Vegas Sands could buy that license in New York. Las Vegas Sands, in their investor day, said that they're going to continue to pursue digital gaming opportunities. And this was right after WynnBet said that they're going to be on the seller's block.
Well, it looks like a good move for them then.
That's it for this week's Turnpike Sports Book Report. Keep the press releases coming in to us for the book report segment, info@turnpikesportsradio.com. There will be a print version, as always, after this show is released. And head on over to turnpikesportsradio.com and click on the blog button for that as well.
That'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.